unmute it. Check. The arms of the angel fly away from here. So welcome to episode 2 of the Shameless Mike podcast. I'm your host, Divine Mighty. Today's episode, illness meets spirituality. This is something that I'm going through, so I'm very intrigued by this topic. I guess let's just get into it. How long has this mic been? Peace.
3, 2, 1.
Game over.
Sometimes you just have to accept that things ain't working out and try again. So here we are, the redirection of this episode. I went on my Instagram story and I let my followers know episode 2 on the podcast series is going to be illness meets spirituality. And somebody messaged me. They said, hey, this is a really interesting topic. I'm a yoga teacher who's been practicing for a decade and now practices in a sensory-based wellness space. They invited me to the space, and there we had an incredibly insightful conversation that I have edited into episode 2. Enjoy. When it comes to illness or anything that grips you anxiety-wise, which I think illness is a really big one, the feelings that come out of that, and for me, dealing with a heart condition, that's what I noticed is that had more of a hold on me than the condition itself.
Yeah, the anticipation of it, what is it? Is it gonna get worse? How much longer do I have to wait for answers?
And not even in a way that I could fully quantify at first. I forgot that I could choose certain feelings that I could access. I found I just kind of stopped doing stuff. As I started to get more clarity is actually when the anxiety got a bit greater for me.
You can't ignore it anymore.
It was you need to get surgery. I had this acceptance outwardly that I had accepted it, but there was this constant Rolodex, I guess. I stopped going out, stopped saying yes to invites.
Overcorrecting a little
Overcorrecting.
Yeah.
And then that started to create depression. And it wasn't the condition itself creating the depression, it was the way that I was adapting my life until it's over. I went to one surgeon and I got an alternate opinion. It completely reframed my mind. Before that, I was I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. I can't. And then the moment that he said that, I was okay, well, maybe I don't even need surgery. And it's not even that those things were necessarily correct, but I was able to literally access a complete different part of me that was still there just because of what he said. What about what's outside of what I've been told?
Right.
It changed my mindset since that point.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the exact same position.
Remembering how resilient we're made to be. I think that we talk ourselves out of understanding that we're made to continue to survive. Some people will have more obstacles than others. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of just what it is. But it doesn't change the fact that we exist to continue to exist somehow. You can adapt what that looks like. Some people, have a lot of children to continue to exist. Other people put it into their creativity. But we're resilient. We really are. And I think that we're not really advised over our lifetime to lean into that resilience. Mm-hmm, so we're okay, well, it's an obstacle. I can't make it over it. And I think that once you start allowing yourself to maybe believe, I think that people are just afraid of having hope for stuff. I think that there's a level of wanting to police or avoid particular life experiences and feelings. And that's normal, that's survival, right? Our anxiety exists because it's a warning sign for us to continue to survive. But it's once we stop thinking about the fact that these things exist because of our survival, we don't have the drive to survive anymore. We focus so much more on the anxiety than it is yeah, but that exists because it's a tool. It's literally just part of the experience of being human and living life. I come from an industry, the wellness industry, where it is very normal to be full of fluff and love and light, and you can just think away all of everything, and it's not, for the way that I practice, not really realistic. Yes, you can think away your thoughts can add to your hesitance to do certain things or think about certain things, and we get that, but we can't just decide that the only things we're going to feel in this life are positive and happy and healthy and great and amazing all the time. It's just not sustainable. And that's not to say that we're supposed to give in to the misery and the anxiety, but it's the pursuit of avoiding certain feelings is usually like
where the anxiety lives.
Especially with sensory work. All of our life experiences are sensory experiences. And so really what I look for is for us to be discerning in what we allow ourselves to sit in. You're allowed to discern what you hold on to. Be open to the possibility that anything can happen. That doesn't mean you have to entertain it long term in your life. You can be allowed to feel, but you also can decide to not feel it all the time. Do I want this in my body for much longer? Like, do I want this in my mind for much longer? Like, really realistically, right? Like, when I say this stuff out loud, it feels like fluff. A lot of people in my class will be like, that doesn't fucking mean anything. Like, and I get that. Like, it can sound like nothing. Because,
What you just said, though?
Sometimes, depending on the wording.
And I guess depending on who
yeah, on who says it and who receives it, what they're going through, right? Like, a lot of the times it can feel like buzzwords, or because it's not immediately obvious how to do certain things, it doesn't really lend the idea of you can discern and decide, but it doesn't have to be something you do out loud or in front of people. I think that's sometimes the hesitance when it comes to like really leaning into your wellness and your spirituality and this sort of practice, where it's not something that a lot of people do openly. And so when you do, like, people are afraid of sounding crazy. They don't want to be woo-woo. Like, it's a little bit different now. It's more commonplace, but like, it doesn't have to be this big project. It is really as simple as spending dedicated time to yourself to figure out like who you are, what you want, what you're feeling, and what you want more of.
Yeah, I feel a lot of emotions connected to the statements because I think that they're so vast and applicable to every aspect of life, every dynamic you have, all the relationships you have. Discernment is like how you navigate all of those things.
Yeah.
When you don't know what you feel within your body, it's very difficult to know how to have discernment in different scenarios.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey that I'm on right now. Even exploring not smoking weed right now. I don't think let's not say that. I don't think that I did it because I want to be sober my whole life.
Right.
But there is like a health side of it that I'm like observing as I go through this. But I didn't do it for that reason. I did it because I didn't have any discipline with it, to be honest with you. I was fucking day and night.
Yeah.
And I was not feeling anything. And, you know, by proxy of that, I stopped drinking as well. But I noticed that right after I stopped doing those things, that I was getting irritated with things. And at first I was like, why am I getting irritated with all these things? And then I realized, you're always irritated with these things. You just numb yourself. So you actually don't know that these things irritate you. Like, you kind of know it.
Yeah.
But you never know how to deal with it in real time. You don't have discernment when you're navigating, like, maybe people that bring up certain emotions, and you keep finding yourself in the same patterns and cycles because you don't know how to connect with yourself as you're going through it.
Yeah.
So I feel the more that I explore things where I can allow myself to feel so much more intentionally, I find it translating to like real world scenarios that have nothing to do with wellness per se. What do I want? What do I not want?
Yeah.
Saying yes when I actually want to, saying no when I don't want to. Like, really basic things that we all think that we do really well.
Yeah.
But it's like actually a learned practice, because you usually learn your yeses and nos from preconceived notions in society and parents and things that maybe you didn't decide it. And now you always say yes or no to things that you don't even know how you feel about.
Yeah.
The things, it's like relearning.
Yeah. Especially how we grow up in certain demographics and types of households. Like, we're told what our responsibilities are going to be. Because we're born into a certain type of community, it's like there's less space to practice that discernment, let alone figure out like what it actually looks like.
We as humans are resilient and we're meant to get through.
Yeah.
Only when you're pushed and forced to like go through something that you, the previous version of you, didn't think you would be able to overcome, and now you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Then you'll be willing to access certain things or try certain things that are within you. But it's like, it is interesting that at times it's like we need pain, some kind of strife where you're like, okay, now I'm willing to attempt this thing, which means that we don't feel like it's truly accessible.
Yeah, something that I thought when I first started doing this, I was nervous that by going inward, it was avoidance. I used to, the way that we feel about not dealing with discomfort and not being anxious anymore, like, you know, doing things that make you less anxious, whether it's smoking or whether it's like, just like hyper focus on even music, like focusing so much on something else, which is basically meditation, I felt like it was the same thing as just not dealing with the feelings.
Oh.
Like, that's the muscle, right? It's not just separating and looking separately. It's now what? Now that I have the clarity, what am I going to do about the thing that got me here in the first place? The work is still there, right? Like,
right.
I was nervous that if I just go inward and I don't really, like, I thought that I'm gonna sit here quiet and not deal with it, and that was like the
I get that.
way of
Okay,
doing
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be someone that dealt with it, that processed the feelings, but I equated that with feeling pain. Like, I only associated, instead of like, hey, I can be happy and deal with this negative thing. Like, I could be neutral and deal with this thing that made me so anxious and heartbroken. But like, that was the difficult part. Like, the natural response is to be hysterical when something bad happens. But like, is it like, does it have to be? Does it, in my body, does it have to be? Like, there was almost guilt of like, there was a very specific visual of what it looked like to deal and be an adult and be like functioning and prosperous and like contributing to society. Is I must be drained. Like, I must be exhausted.
Which is oftentimes the actual avoidance.
Yeah. You really have to be about it. Like, all this talk about it's God's plan, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I can work through it, I can put my mind to this, I can succeed in this way. Like, now you have the opportunity in front of you. Are you gonna talk yourself out of it again? Like, are you gonna use your intellect to be like, there's nothing really that proves that this is possible, or like, nobody else is speaking this way, and so you must not, like, it really is a matter of like, so you're gonna keep doing the same thing,
yeah.
Or are you really, like, do you really believe in destiny? Let's find out. Go this way. Like, make this decision, the crazy one.
Yeah,
the one that, do you really believe in it, or is it sort of like a spark and then you sort of just bury it with something else? Like, it is a time where, and I think that I love it. Like, it's terrifying. And I feel like I'm in psychosis sometimes when I say it out loud.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand how it sounds when I'm saying it out loud, but it feels so real. Like, I'm watching it happen and unfold, and I feel it in my body, and it's showing up in all these other ways. And when I ignore it, all this other stuff happens.
Yeah.
I did it the right way, and here I am still having to deal with this. So what is the harm in me going the crazy route? Why am I wrong for believing in destiny when, if I didn't believe in God's plan, this is what happens? Like, what's the point? Like, I might as well do the crazy thing. I might as well be woo-woo. Like,
it's woo-woo to other people, but I feel like once you feel destiny, you can't unfeel it. It's only that you know that other people may not, because you know you had to feel it. Especially when you look at a version of yourself that did things that you can't process. You're like, how was I there? Now that I'm here, you also know that to other people it will sound woo because they may be where you once were. And it's like, I would not even judge someone because I was there.
Yeah.
But like, it's like an unveiling, right? I guess people always say that. Once you can see it, it's not even seeing it, it's literally feeling it.
Yeah.
And it's so rooted in your cells.
Yeah.
And you're unable to not make the connection because I don't think you're even making the connection. It's just there.
Yeah. We're always in pursuit of healing in a way, and I think that I'm tired of that now. I think that I'm over the version of me that's constantly like, oh, I'm healing from this thing and I have this next thing to heal from. I'm always in anticipation of being the version of me that's like good and ready. Like, I'm not saying that I don't have more lessons to learn. I'm saying that I'm able to see all of these different versions of me exist at the same time. I don't really think that the version of me that allowed all of this to happen and take over my life ceased to exist. I think that she's still there. I think that I'm not necessarily engaging, or I'm not making decisions as that version of me, even though she's there. The same way that the healed version of me exists and I have access to her and I'm seeing her and feeling her and hearing her, but I'm not always necessarily making decisions that align or moving in a way that aligns with that version of me, and that's often a choice, I think, for me.
I like that. That's a bar. Wow.
It's like an everything everywhere all at once type of situation, right? Like there was a moment where I felt genuinely in community with all of these different versions of me that are experiencing these things, but it happened now. It didn't feel like some unattainable, grown up, like future version of me. It was just, that's me and I'm me, and do I feel like doing this thing that is more characteristic of this version, or am I gonna am I falling into the comfort of this other version? It's like I'm allowing myself to, one, have different parts of my personality, but two, like that's sort of where the discernment comes in, right? Parts of my ways of thinking can end, should die, but that doesn't mean that this life has to die in order for me to feel more life, whatever that is supposed to be after. I think that's also what lessons are.
Choosing to operate out of a certain version of you. You learn all those versions over time, and then you can decide where you want more of that engagement to be. I would say it relates to the concept of shame now. Like you look at anytime you do something that you have told yourself, oh, that version is supposed to be gone, because you're looking at it as something that you're supposed to have let go of as opposed to a part of you. There's something really beautiful about that.
If we continue to choose to really just be yourself, not holding on to your personality because that can change, not holding on to your way of being because that can change. You're allowed to outgrow the way that you do things without thinking that you've outgrown yourself or that you are changing. I think that the scary part is when you detach yourself from yourself. Like, if I'm constantly changing, I don't have my company. You know what I mean? Like, in my body, that's what that feels like. When I say to myself that I'm constantly changing, it feels like I don't have a grasp on, like, really, like, genuinely, right? If I'm always just so close, or like always reaching, but we're not hand in hand. And I think that was a really big thing for me in my practice, and I think that is at bare minimum helpful to consider once, where what does it look like to be hand in hand with yourself genuinely and continue to move through the change that's happening that you know can be and is expected.
I think that's a mic drop right there. I think that's a mic drop.
And on that note.
Wow.